Hey everybody, it's Diane Gilson here today with another one of our better business and better numbers combinations of our webinars. And so usually we say better numbers, better business, but they're pretty intertwined. And today you should also see on the screen with me, Justin Landry, and Justin is going to be sharing some really exciting and unique views of folks that are out there maybe looking for jobs and or even your own teammates that AI can, along with Justin, can help you see into somebody's motivations and what they're about and so on. So, gosh, for me, sometimes it's just been a mystery in the background as I've talked to people. So welcome, Justin.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for having me.
Okay, good. So I'm going to leave my screen up here for our video here for a minute or two, and let's just get started. I like you folks, if you could find the questions pane, let us know where you're logging in from and any particular questions you might have that we can put in the queue for Justin to answer as we move forward. But it's always fun to see where people are coming from. So go ahead and use that questions pane for that, and I'll try to keep an eye on it as we move forward. So let's get started. This is something that I saw quite some time ago. I won't share how many years ago, but it was the name of a presentation and I picked it up. I remembered it ever since then as life would be great if it wasn't for other people. That's kind of tongue in cheek. And of course, we know that we all have other people to deal with in our lives. And of course, we want our life to be great because of other people. And maybe if there's something that's a wrinkle, you can figure out how to work your way around that. So I just thought I'd share that as a little bit of humor. Okay, so again, let us know where you're signing in from. That'd be great. And Laura, are we coming through okay? Laura, our COO, is sitting here in the background. She's going to be helping us give away. We got a couple nice prizes today. So Laura, is our audio coming through okay?
The audio is sounding great, and so is the video.
Okay, terrific. Thanks so much. And if somebody could put in the questions pane that you're able to hear us, okay, we'd appreciate that. Thank you. So why are we teaming up today? Okay, well, the reason that I approached Justin is, well, first of all, we used more than one. We started out with an executive assessment, which we'll be talking about a little bit later, and I was just totally amazed at what it revealed, some of the things I knew and some of the things I didn't know even about myself. So we did that, but we also have used the assessment process to search for potential new people for our company. So the thing is, I always like to start out, of course, with our background in accounting is talk about a financial perspective. And of course, our employees, our people in our companies have a huge financial impact in so many different ways because our fantastic team members create economic wealth and what I call interpersonal wellness. If you've got the right people working together, then we can all learn and grow and work together. And of course, if you get those, what I call meh or bad employees, they can create ongoing frustration and drain our resources. Lots of times we know when to get rid of a bad employee. That becomes pretty evident. But the people that aren't quite performing up to what you want them to can, also cause some wrinkles. So the issue is, how do we go about locating these top tier people without spending a huge amount of time for searching, figuring out where do we do posts, reviewing applications, interviewing, and gambling on the choices that we're going to make as we start adding folks into our company. And so we're going to continue to review and recruit and hire in the same way we always have now that we've got some of these great technology assistance things in place, or do we have another way to approach those human resource issues? So that's what Justin's here for today, and he's going to be talking about how AI, and of course everybody, this is on so many people's thought processes these days, is what is going on with artificial intelligence and how can that help us transform our businesses and in this case our human resources. So a little bit about Justin. Okay, why don't you tell us, Justin? I've got it on the screen, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you. I currently operate as the Director of Affiliate and Client Relations at Contractor Staffing Source. We're based out here on the Big Island of Hawaii. I've been working here at Contractor Staffing Source for about 5 years, prior to which I had owned and operated some businesses. I lived in Japan, learned to speak Japanese while in Japan, and have learned quite a bit about AI from my previous background as a database administrator, and has transitioned to that into the world of human resources, where we can take the technological tools that we've got with predictive analysis and the other topics that we'll discuss today, and really make recruiting enjoyable again by having a high data set that empowers you to have powerful conversations and elucidate information that might not be garnered in other ways. So my background comes from taking people and technology and making those two things meet, whether it's through business applications, whether it's through my fun hobbies with some of my friends from Japan and 3D printing, or trying to figure out how to make a better surfboard.
Okay, what's the most recent thing that you built with a 3D printer?
The most recent thing I built with a 3D printer is a Pokemon toy for my young children, who said, "Hey, Dad, we want this unavailable Pokemon toy." So rather than fly to Japan to purchase said expensive toy, we made our own.
Wow.
My 13-year-old got to experience what building a stratilated file looks like.
Okay, so you had the overlap of fun and science, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Very cool. Really neat. And I had asked Justin at a prior time, how did he end up in Hawaii? It was a fascinating story. So when you get a chance to talk to Justin yourself, you'll have to ask him, because I found it to be really, really interesting. And of course, so many of the people that may be in today's session with us probably know me, but just in case you don't, I'll real quickly run through my bio. Of course, I'm a consultant, trainer, speaker, author, podcast, and product developer, and so on. I've spent 25 years plus, I won't say how many extra years beyond that, working with business owners and accounting staff to help them develop job cost and management accounting systems. Management accounting meaning, how do you look inside your numbers to see how to run your company more effectively and more profitably. I have picked up over the years through all of my activities several certifications and awards. The ones that I'm most proud of are kind of at the top of the list. I was named last year as US Pro Advisor of the Year. And once you've hit that enviable position, I get to stay as emeritus. I don't have to go out and apply every year, although I was in the top 100 for the last 10 years and did get the top niche practice construction pro advisor along the way. So lots of accounting background and experience. I'm not going to read all that to you. You can see it on the slides. And I will mention that the slides are available for you, and this session is being recorded. So for those who can't be with us today, they'll get a chance to watch the recording. And for those of you who are, you'll be able to have access to the recording, as well as you can download those slides either here today with us, or you can pick that up when you receive the email with a link to the recording tomorrow. Okay, so let's talk about this in terms of that exciting intersection. So Justin, you know what? I'm going to turn my camera off if it's okay. And then I'm going to just leave you on camera, and then you can talk about what we're seeing coming up at us here with
Absolutely.
artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. Thank you, Diane. So artificial intelligence is a topic and a concept that a lot of people think about. And I think instantly, many folks think about robots or the Terminator or AI coming to take over things. And we have not reached that precipice. AI is in a place right now where, as software tools, the software can really allow us to do more with less time. And what we're finding in the human resources industry is that the AI tools that exist, particularly the text and script tools that exist, accelerate our functions and let us get through resumes more capably and more quickly, streamline all of the assessment review and data review processes that we have, and allow us really to get to the connection part and the problem-solving, decision-making parts of interacting with an applicant to identify, are they the right culture fit? Are they the right personality? Will they congeal with the team right? And using the data set from AI to give you the highest level of diagnostics allows you to use this type of technology that our assessments use called predictive indexing. And predictive indexing is all about making better hires faster and with a broader and more diagnostic data set. So as an outsourced HR service provider, our job is to get you good people in a streamlined and data-oriented way. And AI allows me to do that in a more meaningful sort of way. So I can focus when I'm working with clients on connection, on rapport, on communicating about the core principles of human resources that, let's be honest, for many of us aren't particularly exciting. So AI takes away all of the less fun stuff so we can focus on the more fun stuff, which wouldn't we all want to have a little bit more fun at our job? So that really is the intention of this intersection, is to identify that and to see how do we use predictive indexing, our assessment tool, to move forward.
And of course, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So moving to our next slide, let's talk about that predictive indexing.
Absolutely. Predictive indexing really is, excuse me, a fancy way of saying we're going to use an assessment tool that has both a cognitive and a behavioral measure, and that those cognitive and behavioral measures are based on an extremely deep fuzzy logic data set. What fuzzy logic means is that it doesn't just have yes and no commands. It can look at the nuances and trends. And that's why this type of artificial intelligence is so powerful in the assessment review process. As you build your hiring funnel, you're going to need to have a tool, and you're going to need to be able to have applicants come through, and after you review their resumes, have some sort of way to identify, do they have the right motivations and tendencies cognitively and behaviorally to be the right fit for the organization. They'll send them out a positionally relevant assessment. They'll complete that assessment. And within a trained assessment reviewer, you can review a predictive indexing assessment and identify why are they applying, what do they bring to the table behaviorally that the resume might not show you, and how to interview them in a more capable sort of way. So this is really
Justin,
why
can I jump in and ask a question? Cognitive is not a word that I use in everyday conversation. So just explain cognitive to me just a little bit more, if you would.
Absolutely. People use the terms IQ for intelligence and EQ for emotion or emotional intelligence. IQ is cognitive, and anything cognitive is going to involve you using your brain in a problem-solving sort of way. So the thinking activities of your job are generally going to be considered cognitive activities. And scientifically, there are, from the 70s and from previous, there's a lot of cognitive assessments out there that'll let us identify, do you have the right fit or not? Inversely, there's personality assessments. Then we've all seen Myers-Briggs, DISC, Enneagram, and the like. What a predictive indexing assessment does is harmonize those two with a target for a project manager or an accountant, a bookkeeper, a director of finance, or a salesperson. The benefit is that you can move more quickly and make decisions from a more enabled position in a far more rapid sort of way. You'll have the ability to use a data set to have a more scientific way to review your staff, and some assurances that the team members that you're bringing on work with each other. By knowing their personalities and knowing the way that they think, we can team up individuals that we know will likely have success with each other. So a predictive indexing tool helps you identify kind of who's what and where in the organization, and make sure that you have the right people who fit with the right competencies, both in their thinking and in their feeling activities at work. So we often joke in our organization and say, our predictive indexing tools allow us to move smarter, not harder, and let us see just what's right around the corner. So succession planning absolutely is something to discuss, as well as we consider where is the company moving forward. Looking at our assessments give us a real strong data set to understand the employee resources, both mentally and emotionally.
Right, and as people within the industry, there's so many people in the industry. I'll just talk about succession planning here. So many people in the industry are in their 50s, their 60s. I mean, there are people in 30s and 40s too, but I'm not saying that they shouldn't be thinking ahead, okay? But, particularly when you hit your 50s and 60s, people are starting to think, hey, where am I taking the company? Where do I want to take myself? Sometimes people want to sell, but in many cases that's not the case. They just want to maybe have people within the organization take over more of the running of the organization. So I think that's what you're referring to there with succession planning is how do you get everybody working as a team so that as the owner, you can move on to more and additional kinds of things that are enjoyable for you. Yeah.
Exactly. Diane, so many situations have happened where a business owner has come to me and said, Justin, I love what I do. I've been doing it for a long time. I'd love to pass this legacy on. I don't really understand the science of how I got to where I am today, but I know I worked hard and I treated people well. And I need to benchmark this. And by having the exceptionalism within that organization benchmarked with predictive indexing assessments, that owner can really see scientifically, oh, here are the elements that we've created in this effort, or over this legacy, this thing has been built. And I find that's the thing, the spotlight that's often shown into an organization by doing a predictive indexing assessment when it comes to succession planning. I jokingly say we can find the awesome within the organization. So one of the things that we do, particularly with executives, is we evaluate the entire team and we look for executive roles, we look for in other critical roles, financial roles, business roles, and production roles, and identify what unique elements does somebody bring to the table as they complete the assessment. So we're going to look at, like we said, cognitive and behavioral. Cognitive really is, where do your skills fit in based on what you've learned and the natural abilities that you have. Your behavioral abilities are that of your temperament and your behavior. In addition to that, we can then look at your assessment scores and based on that, identify strong points and development points and hone in on those development points for training. Helps with leaders as well, as leaders want to look how to interface with their team members, looking at, I like to call it the neurosympathy, way a brain and heart within a team member work together. We can identify how to work better with that person, how to get things within that individual to flow more smoothly or for them to comprehend better. An assessment really helps you understand what they're thinking and what they're feeling, and how to get someone to do the best every single day on the job site.
Exactly. I can see how that creates greater interpersonal team dynamics. It's not like the leader is separate from everybody else, but understanding the people on their team and how to become a better leader through that interaction. I can just see how all that fits together. So
yeah, internally, it's been quite a joy to know that we've got someone who's more organizationally focused, or you've got someone that's more dynamic and more maybe impulsive and can manage phone calls and the like. Knowing to put the right person in the right place by skill set, not just by position title, has been an absolute godsend. Helps you identify kind of the right person, right seat in a way that's quick and I find quite fun.
right. So that putting the right people in the right seats on the bus, right? Let's see.
Absolutely, yes.
From Jim Collins, exactly. So, and I want to let everybody know, Justin's going to share some real life assessments with us, some good ones, some bad ones. So that's coming up here pretty soon. In the meantime, let's just kind of look at some of the processes. I'm going to let you address that, Justin.
Thank you very much. The traditional system, as trained from me by professors in universities, the multiple hurdle database system. The multiple hurdle system, or the other term that we often hear used in the industry is the funnel system, is a way that you can, in a quickly and easy way, move people stage to stage and identify not just positional fit, but organizational fit and individual fit. First, by looking at criteria, data. So first step in a process-based funnel system is, does your resume match the position? And then from there, we would kind of look at, do you have the other things that we're looking for? maybe a phone screening. Nowadays, we even see AI video chat bots or chat bots will do some screening. From there, those individuals that it sounds like they do have the right stuff, we would have them complete an assessment. Once an assessment is completed, we now understand the thinking and feeling parts of this professional and can put together a personalized interview. In that personalized interview, we can identify strengths and weaknesses that we want to hone in on and make sure this is the right person that we're looking for. From that interview, we engender our final questions that we then provide for references. We do background checks and other contingencies. And in this way, we can move down to those final offer letters and those final selections in a data-oriented approach and feel really good that the people that we are offering positions to from a data-centric perspective are really the right fit, mind, body, and soul. And the process-based recruiting is designed to do this regularly. So by doing this regularly, here's the benefits that you're going to get is not only are you going to have the ability to see which candidates come through efficiently and be able to manage them in a way where you don't have to feel overwhelmed and go, oh, this recruiting stuff, man, it's taking me away from what I love to do. In addition to that, it gives you a consistent tool that as you evaluate individuals, it's apples for apples and oranges for oranges. Let's be honest with ourselves, recruiting, particularly hiring new people in this tight time, has been challenging. So to have a way to improve our quality and get more people through the process and to get the right people through the process, is a godsend for many businesses. And a funnel system or a multiple hurdle system allows you to do that. Really kind of get I like to say, get most of the squeeze for your fruit when you are recruiting. So these are the intentions of a process-based system.
Now, I'm going to pull up the next slide, which is just kind of a really big picture of a good assessment. Okay, but then I am going to, these are just big pictures. You may want to address this. In the meantime, I'm going to go over and make Justin the presenter so he can show you some real life examples here.
Thank you.
So over to you, Justin.
Thank you very much. Let's look at this executive assessment as we see on the screen. So on an executive assessment, the first thing we're going to look at here is, does someone have an overall good fit, yes or no? So when we look at the assessment, the first thing we're going to do is look at overall accuracy of fit and personality of fit. All of these things on this page one that we're looking at here are about, does this person have the right fit or not? So the way that we've coded this and the way the AI works, it's like a stoplight. If we see green along the right-hand side, it's a good sign. If it's yellow, you might need to slow down. And if it's red, we need to stop and really analyze, what is this data telling us? Is this someone of interest? And what interview questions might I need to ask to engender this data? This is an executive assessment, the highest level that we do.
I'm going to ask a question. I see the word honesty jumps right off the screen at me. Tell me, does this mean somebody's not going to defraud us?
So there are two parts to this assessment. One is looking at assessment honesty, which is your ability to be open and disclose information in a way that even when it might prove negative or injurious to yourself, you're able to share that information. There's another data point that we'll look at about how do you share negative information. And some folks might be, more shy or might not omit information, and some people might just come out and just drop the hammer. When this talks about accuracy of result with very good honesty, it is saying this individual completed the assessment in an honest enough way we can trust the results. I'd be glad to, for anybody that would like to take the executive assessment, I'd be glad to kind of walk through. We work with our science partner at Bowling Green State University. We've got about 10 years of scientific data that powers the assessment. I would love to kind of show which pieces of the algorithm do what. Again, my background is in IT, so we can have a lemonade and we can talk about IT and AI all day long. But yeah, I would love to share kind of more about how that honesty part works. This is indeed looking at that, whether or not someone is going to be able to, lie to your face or not.
Okay. And I do want to mention, everybody, Justin is going to make a very generous offer here in terms of offering a free assessment for you or for somebody on your team. He'll talk about that a little bit more as we get done, but I mean, that's how I started, was with that initial free assessment, and I was just blown away. So now I've interrupted you a couple times, Justin. You keep going.
No, my pleasure. I'm glad to share this data. Assessments, after playing with my kids are my favorite thing to do, Diane. So
Okay. And if you guys have any
personality,
questions, go ahead and put them in the questions pane. If you
definitely.
want Justin to answer it, go ahead and ask.
Most people, when they're comfortable or when they're familiar with an assessment, what they're used to is a Myers-Briggs, a DISC, a personality assessment. So we
Mhm.
do have a personality section in here that says, do you have a good personality? What type of personality underneath the behavioral type? In addition to that, the assessment will use some of its AI algorithm to identify what positions would be great for somebody based on their logic and based on their personality. The parts that I think are really powerful on our assessment as well are the attitude and competency sections. Attitude, talking about when someone's having a good day or a bad day, how do they exhibit those attitudinal elements? And then competency, as a team member, what do they bring to the table? Where does the rubber meet the road, if you will, as far as how will this person interface with my organization? Most of the business owners that I work with come to me and say, Justin, I love all of this powerful HR data. I would love if there was a way we could condense it so that I could focus on the best people and maybe not focus on the rest. And this overall recommendation is designed to be precisely that. On this type of assessment, an overall recommendation score from 0 to 30 identifies you lack many of or all of the competencies to be relevant for that given position. A 30 to 50 says you have the competencies and would be a good fit. And a 50 and greater says you'd be a top performer and you'd be an ideal fit. So when we're looking for positions, one of the things that we do is we identify what does a top performer look like within this position, and do you have one already? If you don't have one already, we definitely need to find a new one. If you have one already, how do we balance them out and make them work based on the data that we'll see below?
And I'll mention that there's so much more. I don't know how much more you're going to show us, Justin, but I know that when we went through the process, there's a lot more here to
Yeah.
this than what we're seeing on the screen. So
Yes,
there are
there'll be
many different aspects to look at. Yeah.
we're going to be looking at reliability.
Okay.
And I think the most important thing to share is you can see these gray bars up and down the assessment. These are the averages that have populated over the last 10 years of data with Bowling Green State University. So we're looking at executives and we're saying, does this executive have the right fit? Any of the multicolored, in this case, green colored bars will identify this individual's score, whereas the gray bars will identify the averages. For a long time, I thought to myself, 100 good, 0 bad. But what the assessment taught me is that somewhere in between the gray bars is really ideal, not a 0 nor a 100. So reliability lets me trust the assessment. Beyond that, I then will look at personality and identify, does someone have a good personality for a position or not? And what we'll look at is the data will then use the AI algorithm and say, are they more introverted or extroverted? Are they more results or relationship focused at work? And then it'll break that personality down into a lot of granular data. And then I can click in on any of this data and I can get more information. I can work with an assessment provider and identify what about this personality is a good or a bad personality for the position. I can look at someone's integrity and attitude. The higher the scores are here, the more negative attitude they might bring to the table. The lower the scores here, the more positive that attitude might be. Competency, we're talking about leadership with focus. We're talking about support with concentration. Analytical intelligence and ability to apply have our IQ, our thinking activities, motivation, communication, and self-confidence, or our EQ, our feeling and empathic abilities. So just with this one part of the assessment, to the trained eye, we can see, is this person a leader or a follower? Which obviously all organizations need both. We can see, does this person have more of a logical or more of maybe an emotional bend? And how do they actuate that at work? So really powerful data on right fit and on what to expect from working with somebody can really be garnered from this type of information. Last but not least, we have a people and logic section. that talks about someone's individual people skills. Upon the left-hand side are more of the interpersonal service skills, and along the right-hand side are more of the communication and management skills. And then lastly, logic traits, which is an IQ test. So you can see all of this then has unique data sets. And if I were to scroll down, I could read through all of the different data sets and from there build a customized interview. Pardon me, I'll scroll back up to the top. So all of that data culminates in this overall recommendation. So by seeing the data and then seeing the recommendations, we can set a range. And the business owner will say to me, Justin, I'm only looking for 40s and higher. And then I only put 40s and higher on their desk. We sit and talk about those individuals and identify the right personality fit. And in that way, can guarantee only the best people end up in the organization. So this is a great example of what a good assessment might look like.
And I know I'm going to interject here because I've been through this on behalf of our company. I know that you pointed out, or your coworker pointed out also, specific questions that we may want to ask during the interview for specific people, because you'd point out and say, well, this person looks maybe a little weak in this area, so maybe you want to explore that with them, or they look pretty strong over in this area, maybe you want to ask them for some examples. So you provided some guiding interview questions rather than us. My background has been, when I interviewed people over the years, I'd have a standard set of interview questions. This really allows you to personalize the specific questions that you ask individual people based on the output. And of course, I mean, that was with your guidance. It'd be tough for me to go in and totally understand all of these results, but you guys provided that guidance for us.
Yes, well, thank you. We are here, and that's the goal of this assessment, is to really touch the mind and the heart of the individual with whom you're interfacing. So many people, I like to call it the Charlie Brown interview. So many people have had very kind of rote interviews and almost have learned what to expect. And you can set yourself apart as an organization by adding in just a little bit of pizzazz or adding in a little bit of personalization. Particularly in this data-rich world, interconnectivity between individuals is so essential. And one of the things I do with the assessment is provide visibility to an applicant and say, I see the hard work that you've done, your educational work, all of the things that have happened, to get you here today, and can identify those things scientifically. So you can really build a roadmap for success. I think that's one of the most powerful things about our assessment.
Great.
So that's what a good assessment looks like. If we've got some time, I can show what a negative assessment might look like as well, and perhaps what higher might look like as well. Diane, do we have some time for me to show some more assessments?
Yeah, go ahead. Looks like we've got about maybe 10 minutes or so. So are we going to go to another good one, or are we going to look at somebody who's not so good?
So this is the negative executive assessment. And whereas on our page 1 before we had a lot more positive green light results, you'll start to see a more variegation of colors here with very poor results on the competency and accuracy. While there's still a good personality, it's saying that maybe the attitude and the competency scores aren't a good fit. This would be very, very clear sign that perhaps this isn't the type of person we'd be looking for in the given position. But what creates a 14 score, I think, is what's interesting. We can see that this individual didn't complete the assessment in an honest, open sort of way, and that they didn't really understand what the questions were asking. It was more of a journey to completion than it was a journey of exploration of self. When we look at the personality traits, we can see, particularly for an executive position, the ability to communicate with others and to have rapport with them would be a strong ask. And those traits are low on this assessment. So by seeing that this is an introverted person who's balanced between results and relationships, we can start to call into question, what are the elements that we're looking for in a given position? And do we have what we're looking for or not? Overall, these look like they're fairly good, but you can see that many of these traits are actually lower than what the position needs. And why I chose this assessment is because the values, while they look higher, are in the wrong quadrants. for an executive position. Usually support or empathy traits are not the traits that we would see in an executive position. So while these values might look higher, this talks to maybe a lack of positional fit. Maybe this person would thrive in another role in the company, but perhaps not the executive one. We then can see that there's the thin red line, and some of these scores being higher than the thin red line, and many of them being close to the thin red line, tells me that this person has a lot of negative attitude elements going on in their life. Maybe right now, or maybe just because. And that those things might spill over into the workplace. So identifying how do they blame others and how do they build supportiveness with others or unsupportiveness with others would be essential. We can see here, and this is really, I think, where it hits more stark in comparison to the positive. This is someone that does not bring the same values as far as cognitive ability and overall interconnectivity. And those are going to be strong traits. Someone can fake it for a short period of time and make it, but over the long haul, these things will shine through. We then look at kind of people and logic traits. And when it's a poor fit, you can still have someone who's able to communicate. As you can see, it's higher than the gray bars, but their ability to interface with others. Things seem to slip. Confusion seems to arise. People blah, 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 yada, yada through stuff because they want to get meetings over with. These are the types of things we see with people who have low people traits. And lastly, someone that doesn't have well-rounded logic will lean in on one piece of logic, but won't have the ability to discern the details or think outside of the box or see how the machines work. These difficulties can lead, to a kind of cumulative snowball effect over time. This can really be a strong indicator of poor positional fit. In an interview, we'd want to get into some of these questions, and we could ask questions based on those poor elements and go from there. So that's how we can see a good result versus a bad result, respond to it, come up with customized questions, and that individual can really feel heard and observed, and we can identify the best questions to ask to move forward. So that's kind of good and a bad.
So this has been, what you've shown us so far has been based on an executive assessment, and you do the same type of thing based on particular positions and
Yes.
saying what kinds of positions require which skill sets?
So each
skill and emotional aspects, both.
So every assessment, this is a bookkeeper assessment. The assessment itself will look identical, but in this cute redacted part up here, it says this is a bookkeeper assessment. So what we would have looked for differently is we'll see as we variegate through the personality, we get down to the personality gray bars. The personality ask here is very high for attention to detail. If you're going to be in finance, you're going to have high attention to detail. This assessment also says you're going to need to interface with people, and you're going to need to have some patience, and you're going to need to be empathic. So that those three traits of detail, patience, and empathy, it's picking up on as strong needing traits for a bookkeeper. I'm going to go in and say as well, we have really high moral need for our bookkeeper as well, obviously. But from a competency perspective, the need to focus in and see what data is essential and relevant. Very important for a bookkeeper. Ability to multitask and get lots of things done. Yeah, it's valuable, but maybe not the most valuable. And then, yeah, all of these gray bars will change and populate based on the position type. So we can see these have changed from the previous assessments that we were looking at. And that's how we identify positional type, is that within each algorithm, we have a unique fit for logic, for personality. And then we take that to the next degree and say not only a bookkeeper, but an Info Plus bookkeeper or a contractor staffing source bookkeeper. What does that look like based on the values of the organization, the culture within the company? And by pulling those pieces of data in as well, we can use this not just as a do they pass or do they fail, but more so as a do you add something to the organization that's new and unique? Do you support something that's absolutely needed to be supported? What additive function are you bringing to the organization? And then the early identification of that, I like to use the term empowerment, but companies can empower themselves to make better hiring decisions. Individuals can empower themselves to be more effective and capable within their organizations. and the data being the lighthouse that shines on it, I think really is quite empowering. So
are the traits for individual positions, do these come out of the Bowling Green information as to which traits are most valuable for which types of positions?
yes, so Bowling Green sends us an algorithmic update every January after the white papers are done.
Mm-hmm.
We re-update that information, and that allows us to analyze and identify, do we still know what a top performer looks like? Do we know what the right percent for chance of good hire in a position looks like? Those algorithms are essential in us being able to say this is current events data.
Well, I know there are some TV shows, both medical, where people are doing their brain surgery, okay, as well as there are, I haven't watched them, but I think there are a couple of ones where it's the psychologist talking to somebody, real life stories. And this is kind of like the combination of the two that you get through an assessment. You get to peer into somebody's brains and psyches without having to put them on an operating table. So pretty we found it to be very, very helpful when we went through our process, as well as, video interviews that you guys have in your system and so on. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to take us back over into, so we can stay on top of our time limitations. I'm going to go ahead and take us back into the PowerPoint. And thank you. That was very cool to actually see some real live assessments, but of course, obviously without people's names. Okay. He made sure that none of those would show up. But of course, if you are the ones who are looking to hire somebody, you can see who's who, and you'd have actually access. Something we found was really nice was the video interviews or we'd submit questions and people would respond in their video interview. So very neat. So I just pulled this a poor assessment, just the big screenshots from the type of thing you guys were seeing live. And of course you can tell that the live demo is a whole lot better than we could only put so much on these slides. Otherwise we'd have 420 slides. So the insights that we saw in this demo are the benefits of using this predictive hiring. I love that term. And predictive indexing is getting your hiring accuracy back on target, reducing the time to hire. How long? Tell me, how long is the process? I mean, I know, well, the time for me to hire is sometimes I just get overwhelmed by the thought. So sometimes the hire never takes place because I just can't ever quite get myself to it. But it could potentially just take months by the time you put your ad together and you start sorting through resumes and so on. What do you guys find is your average time as you're working with people?
So throughout the industry and throughout the country, it averages out to about 2 to 3 months to place in a given position. Mm-hmm. The pandemic and obviously the cost of living crises that we're currently living through add some uniqueness to that. So it is market by market, but our general trend is about 2.5 months to place someone in a position. And our goal isn't just to place somebody. This predictive indexing system is designed to place hires that retain. Our goal is to place people that will retain within an organization for at least a year or longer. Contractor Staffing Source is extremely proud of our 88% year-over-year retention rate with the hires that we've made, meaning that when we make a hire for a client, they stick around for a year or longer, at least 88% of the time. The reason why that's happening is because there's data involved, and it's scientific data that says this person brings something to the table this company needs. And it's not just the skill set, it's the temperament, it's the personality, it's the ability to attract a new type of business and get those type of individuals to hit the ground running. One thing I've heard more post-pandemic that at any time before is, I need to hit the ground running. I need so-and-so and I need them yesterday. Mm-hmm. So when we make these hires, we need to have them hit the ground running. And then once they've hit the ground running, they need to keep running. So that's what I think these tools allow us to identify and execute.
Okay, terrific. And I've got a set of questions here for you. Some we may not be able to get through all of them, but we'll do our best. But in the interim, you were so kind to offer a giveaway we have two numbers selected so all three of us know what those numbers are ahead of time. And so Laura, our COO, is sitting in the background, and she has been watching the list of attendees. And our first giveaway, Justin, why don't you tell us what it is, and Laura can tell us who's going to get it.
So our first giveaway is Contractor Staffing Source will be giving away a $25 gift card so that someone can take advantage of AI, ChatGPT AI, for a month, free month of ChatGPT from Contractor Staffing.
Nice, nice. Okay, and Laura, who is our winner of that gift card? And I would highly suggest that you go out and purchase at least 1 month of the advanced GPT-4. It is fun. You can do some really neat and fun things with it. So, Laura, who is our first winner? This is going to be what, number
3.
3?
And our winner is Jerry Zamora.
Oh, Jerry. Hey, I know Jerry. Okay, congratulations, Jerry. And we'll get your contact information over to Justin. And I hope you go out and give that a shot. Give ChatGPT a shot. So, I mean, it is a $25 gift certificate. So if you don't want ChatGPT, you can use it for something else that's fun. Okay, and this time, as we have done often in the past, we are giving away an Amazon, I'm going to spell it because I have one in the room with me and she'll start talking, an Amazon ECHO, or a dot is another name for it. And so, Laura, who is going to win that one?
Our winner for that prize is Fariborz Majuri.
Okay, all right. So I think you did a good job. I hope that we are pronouncing that correctly. If not, apologize, but it looks pretty close to the pronunciation, looks pretty close to the spelling, and we will be sure to get that Amazon ECHO set up to send over to you. So thanks for being a part of the webinar. So very quickly, I'm going to move over on into some of the Q&A. Quick tour of your website. I'm going to lay all of these in, and I'm going to let you pick out several of these because I know that people can get to your website through the links on the slides. So maybe, why don't you talk about some of these other things? I'm going to let you choose.
Absolutely. Well, do we work with non-construction clients at Contractor Staffing Source? Absolutely. We do have a lot of construction clients because of the coaching teams that we work with. But my background, actually, I come from IT. I've worked in the entertainment industry as well, in the HR faculty. For me, the ability to connect with individuals in all professions is really exciting. And our tools work interdependently throughout organizations and throughout occupation type. I think most folks, when they think about recruiting, think about, I need somebody, I hire somebody, the recruiter gives them to me, and then they walk away. And I think Contractor Staffing Source offers something different in that we want to build a meaningful relationship with the clients that use our recruiting, diagnostic, and retention services. What we do is not just find people to put them into your organization, but find out who you are as an organization, who you are as individuals, and what matters to you. Then from there, we actually will build you a team management system called a talent tracker, or as we call it, a performance assessment system. That tool is designed to help you manage the performance of your team and to use the assessments in a data-centric way to promote the best out of everybody. So whereas other organizations are going to say to you, hey, here's a person you're good, here's a person you're good. We could do that too, but for why our retention rate is so high is because we're able to connect with people on a deeper and more personal way. The things that we generally do as far as the programs that we do offer, a month-by-month recruiting service. We do offer a long-term recruiting service. In addition to that, many individuals will come to me and say, Justin, I've been interviewing for the last 2 months. I found this individual and I would like for you to have them walk through your assessment I'd like you to share that assessment information with me, and then from there I can make some final determination. So we do one-off assessment reviews using our Wimbush assessment tool. There are other team assessment tools that we do have and can provide, but our key functions are day-to-day onboarding and recruiting, day-to-day performance management tools, and retention services, and one-off, one-on-one assessments. How do we take on new clients? As a team, we have a training and an onboarding manager who do an amazing job of making sure everybody has what they need, that we gather job ads as they exist, take those existing job ads, maybe spice them up, provide some alternative options on job ads, and from there kind of build a really data-centric and empowered way to market your ads and to market your company. And then post that onto the internet over about 300 boards and get
Wow.
people to come in and apply.
Yeah, that's a broad coverage. Okay, and it would take me hours just to figure out which job boards to look at. And you guys just, I know you took it over and got our information out across a big data set of places. We're down to about 5 minutes, so we're going to do our best to get through this final screen as quickly as possible. So why don't you talk about what you're offering, Justin? And then I'll do a very quick little ad for us, okay?
So for anyone who's attended the meeting today, first and foremost, thank you for your time. But in addition to that, we wanted to offer you this executive assessment. If you email me at my email address and say, hey, I was in the Build Your Numbers presentation and I'd love to have my executive assessment done, I'd be glad to send that over to you and book an hour of time with you to review that assessment and identify how it can be impactful and beneficial for you and your company. So please reply to Justin at contractorstaffingsource.com. I can send you out an executive assessment and we can kind of review from there.
And I'm going to mention also in passing, I don't like to promote or show people, my people out in the world, products where there's any kind of high pressure sales or there's any type of thing that I don't fully believe in. And I will tell you that I went through this executive assessment. I loved it. I was blown away, and there was no high pressure sale at all. I mean, it was just a matter of, here's what it is, here's what we found, hey, you want to do more with this? We're here. If you don't, that's fine too. You guys are pretty busy. So I wanted to go ahead and make that recommendation to people based on my own experience. So just wanted to mention that in passing. I'll go ahead and turn my webcam back on just so you guys can know I'm here. And I will do a very short and brief run through of the kinds of things we do here at buildyournumbers.com. Our most popular product is our online job cost training for QuickBooks Desktop, our camp construction accounting and management program. And of course, that can work for manufacturers and anybody who needs to do job costing. But of course, we have a focus on construction. Our pre-built construction template for QuickBooks is called Accounting Pro. If you really want to know what your employees really cost for every hour that they're doing the work that you hired them for, we have our employee cost and pricing analyzer. It's a burden calculator, but it's got a lot more in it than that. Accurate reports every month. We do have month-end closing procedures. We're going to rebrand that as checklists because it is a checklist, as well as procedures. Our free self-assessment. Now we have an assessment too. You just go to our webpage and look at your profitability management tools. That's free. Just go out and fill it out. And if you need some guidance on choosing the best QuickBooks or enterprise software, we will help you do that as well. And for questions or conversation, contact us at the phone number or help@infoplusacct.com. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. We love having you here. And Justin, I think, just did a bang up presentation of what they are, the value of the assessments, and what good ones and bad ones look like, and how you might be able to use something like this for your organization, not only on the hiring side, but as he mentioned at the end, you could use this also for team building. So many different aspects. our companies are made up of people. Okay, there are some people out there that are standalone consultants, but if you have anybody working for you, it's just so valuable to understand what's going on before you make that hiring decision. So thanks so
Absolutely.
much, Justin.
Thank you, Diane. You know, companies' greatest resources is their staff. And for your staff to mind, body, and soul be empowered to be their best selves at work is what everybody wants. And I'm glad to be a part of that. Thank you for having me today, and thank you everyone for listening.
Terrific. Thanks so much, everybody. And I will say goodbye at this point and wave, and then I'm going to go look for my button so to say end the webinar. So take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the month, and we'll see you again next month with another Better Numbers, Better Business presentation. Take care. Bye-bye.